Some people might say that an arranged marriage is a little bit old and archaic. I'm joined by two guests right here today, Lydia and Elango. Thank you guys so much for joining us. You had somewhat of an arranged marriage, but I call it an arranged love marriage by God. And it was all in His plan from the very beginning.
Yes.
Marriage is a huge, huge commitment.
Yeah.
And you guys took this, I guess, leap of faith, and I admire you both for that. And I want to go back to the very beginning. Lydia, you decided to move to India.
Mm-hmm.
Walk us through that decision and really what happened.
Well, I don't feel it was fully my decision. I feel God made that for me. It started when I was in college. I was studying in my second year, and God, through a book, He spoke to me about going to India to serve there. I was studying nursing at the time, so I didn't have all the pieces together, but I knew He wanted me to go to India and to serve as a nurse. And so I started learning about India and about the languages and the culture and the religions, because I really knew nothing. And then God gave me opportunity to go to the north of India, Bihar, for 4 months as a nurse. And I still knew that I wasn't yet where God wanted me to stay. I knew I was where He wanted me at the time, but I felt there was something more He had. And then I went to another part of India and was there for 6 months. And that's when God told me to spend the rest of my life in India.
Wow, that's a big commitment. And you're like, are you sure, God, this is what you're calling me to do? But it was a really good decision that you did decide to stay. And and so eventually you got involved with the Agape Foundation, which Elango, you were a part of the Agape Foundation as well. What is the Agape Foundation?
So Agape Foundation is in south of India, Tamil Nadu state. It's a district called Dharmapuri. So we have Agape Foundation there. So it's work for education, health, and community development. So for education, we have a school called Alpha International, and a clinic called Karune Health Center. And for community work, we have a lighthouse, which is called Kalangare Vilakku. That's main lighthouse. So through Alpha, we give education to the children, and through Karune Health Center, we do medical camp in the different villages, and we give through Kalangare Lighthouse project, we give tuberculosis awareness, and we give awareness on anti-human trafficking.
Yes, and anti-human trafficking is where the two of you met.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So walk us through what happened, because Lydia, you kind of developed feelings for Elango. Is this correct?
Kind of.
And he didn't know. So tell us what
Yes,
happened.
exactly. I didn't know that.
Well, I was just a couple months after I started with Agape, and just because of our gifts and our passions, we were oftentimes working together, but in a work atmosphere. We were going to the villages, and he's a social worker, so he was heading the projects, and I would come alongside. We were doing work with human trafficking, going into villages, sharing about what is human trafficking, and because they don't realize that what is happening is human trafficking.
Sure.
So we would go and give awareness and help them to move out of those situations and to prevent those situations in their villages. And so we were doing that, working together a lot. We did some medical
It was all
camps.
work, not
It was
personal.
work.
No
No.
personal conversations.
No.
But you developed feelings, and you went to your mentor at the time,
Yes,
right?
I started having these dreams about us being married and pretty much doing the same thing we were doing.
It's a daydream or night dream?
Daydreams or night dreams, he says. Both?
It was night dreams. And the work we were doing, somehow in the dream I knew we were married. And I thought this was very strange because I didn't really know him. And I didn't want to just be having some wrong feelings.
Right.
So I went to my mentor and I told her, for me it was like a big confession. Like,
Right.
I'm having these dreams, I don't know what they mean. And she got really excited.
I know, because I feel like that confession very quickly turned into a proposal.
Yes.
Am I correct with
Yes,
that?
yes.
So what happened between the time that you confessed your feelings to the time that all of a sudden you were engaged?
Well, after telling her, she told her husband, and we talked about it. They gave me some insight into Elango and his family and about the culture. And
Because it's very different,
it is
correct,
very
Elango?
different.
It's very different.
How so? Because I know that your families were very different
Yes.
growing up, right?
So you mean about me?
Yes.
Yeah, so I was born in Salem district. It's also near district Dharmapur where we live now currently. And there I born in a farmer's family. My father's a farmer. And when I was 2 years old, my mom was passed. Then my father got second married. Then after some year, my father put me in orphanage home.
Put you
So-
in an orphanage home.
Yeah. So that's where I grown up in orphanage home. Next 7 years I was grown up. Then after 7 years, I was 18, so I had to go to study college. So that's when I moved to district called Dharmapuri. So I studied there, my college. Then while I was staying in a hostel, in a college dorm, and that's where I met my pastor, and he came as outreach work there.
And that's really where you
Yeah.
developed your
Yeah,
faith.
yeah,
Wow.
that's
Well,
right.
that is quite a different upbringing. So tell me, Elango, all of a sudden, your mentor, the pastor, so you went to the pastor's wife, and she went to the pastor, and then the pastor came to you and said, Lydia has feelings for you, and
Oh, he
is-
didn't say like
No, how did he, tell me how he said it. What did he say?
He called me in the Friday night. He called me because I want to talk to you. So I thought he's going to like fire me something because I was late for the prayer. And I was reading and he seriously and he said, I'm going to talk about the marriage. He said, what do you feel about marriage? I said, marriage is commitment. And he said, I suggest you to get married, Lydia.
He suggested you get married to
yeah,
Lydia.
I was shocked.
Tell
in a
the
minute.
truth, Elango, because you had been praying a prayer for quite a
Yes,
long time.
yeah.
What was the prayer?
So because we were working together always in the villages, we used to have conduct medical camps. So I saw her commitment for the people. In India, the village people, she has commitment. I saw her that truthfully she was working to village. So I thought, I was praying in my heart, God, if I have a wife, I should have a wife like Lydia.
Like a wife like Lydia.
Yeah, not Lydia.
But a wife like Lydia. And
Like
he
Lydia. And
took you
God is-
literally and he gave
Yes,
you
God
Lydia.
is so amazing, and He gave Lydia.
So tell me this, because you guys hadn't even had a personal conversation.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden you are engaged to be married and you get to have your very first personal conversation. What is that like? What do you even, I mean, what do you talk about? I imagine there's quite a few things to talk about.
Our first conversation was, well, when our pastor and his wife told us that we'd be getting married. They had been talking to us each separately, but the first time they brought us together and told us, you guys will be getting married. We were both a little shocked and shy and didn't know what to do. And so our first conversation was with translation because we were both nervous, and I didn't know Tamil very well, and he knew English, but we were very nervous.
I don't know proper English because I studied in full Tamil medium, my mother tongue. It's English is very new for me.
Well, you do a great job. You hide it very well.
Yeah.
If you say you don't know it well. So you guys got married. Any regrets? No regrets? No. You're very happy with your marriage.
The more we've been together, the more we see that God really brought us together. Like, we never would have on our own thought of marrying each other. But God knew his background, my background. He knew our desires. He knew the future he had for us, and he really brought us together. And every day we can see, as we discover new things about each other, we can see that God really brought us together, and we
Yes.
wouldn't have it any other way.
Yes.
And in that future was a beautiful little baby girl, Hadassah.
Yes.
She is sweet as can be. Oh, there's a picture of her
Oh.
right now. She is adorable. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. What a beautiful story of how God really has everything planned out for us. So I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
You may be watching this program right now and you may feel like you're alone or hopeless in a relationship. I want to encourage you that God has it all planned out. He may be designing that perfect person for you right now, and you could be running into them at the grocery store or wherever later this afternoon. Just have hope and just be encouraged that God has a plan for your life. Thank you, Lydia and Elango.